Mic on this morning. I'm close to the bypass here on the highway. The Roanoke Real Estate Podcast, the 𝓕𝓻𝓲𝓮𝓻 experience. Can you hear the helicopter? There goes a little deer that looks like Bambi in front of me, around 72 degrees right now. Absolutely gorgeous. So that first offer, you have to really take it into consideration. And there's a difference. Look, I found a dime on the ground. It's my lucky day. Heads up, too. I'm your lucky charm when it comes to selling your house. But that first offer, too, I mean, if it's 20 grand off, that's probably not your best offer. But if it's close to your asking price or a little bit above it, that's probably your best offer. Just take this into consideration. Also, take into consideration there's different clauses you can use to protect yourself. Check that. There's different clauses you can make sure the other realtor is using to protect yourself. And let's talk about that. So, if they're making an offer on your house and it's 10 grand above, and they're putting down $20,000 and it's a conventional loan and the principal amount shows that they're putting down that amount, that's a pretty good deal. Conventional loan, less restrictions than government. Now, some government loans are really rock solid. I've done plenty of deals with those. Conventional, 20, 30, 40 grand down, 10 grand over. That's a pretty darn good deal. That's a rock solid deal, and they're paying all their own closing costs. Take that offer and run. And there's a clause that almost all realtors are going to put into the offer that says the house must appraise. And if it doesn't appraise, then when the appraiser comes out there and it doesn't appraise and the appraisal comes back and it's 10 grand less, well, you're going to be in pretty good shape, because when you go to negotiate with that buyer, all that money they had down, they had more than enough down typically. When they have huge chunks of money down, I'm talking more than 10 grand, that would cover the difference if they had to pay up to get that loan. Now, the one other thing I want you to take into consideration is that there can also be a clause too, you can ask the other realtor to put in there, is that if it doesn't appraise, then the purchaser will pay, excuse me, I'm just clearing out these allergies. Thank goodness they're walking away from me. But there's a clause that the realtor can put in that states that the buyer will pay the difference of the appraisal amount. But most buyers are not going to be foolish enough to do this unless you have a special home that they know they're going to live in forever in a special neighborhood, and they've got to have it and they've got to move. And what do I mean by that? Well, say the appraisal difference of the house is 40, 50 grand. They're not going to pay more for the house than what it's worth. A lot of them are not going to do this unless they have to have this house and it's a diamond in the rough. Because what that means is that they're going to be upside down in their house. So let's recap what that awesome, amazing offer is you should take and run. Cash is king. There's no appraisal, which is far and few in between. But conventional loan, 10% or more than 10% down, and they're paying all their closing costs, they're paying for all their inspections, or maybe they don't even want an inspection, take the offer and run. And that's exactly what my client recently just did with my guidance. And they're going to be in good shape. I got the lender on the phone from the buyer's agent, had a discussion with him, did a little mini background check. Oh yeah, they're good to go, 𝓕𝓻𝓲. They're good to go. The 𝓕𝓻𝓲𝓮𝓻 experience. This is the Roanoke Real Estate Podcast. And that's one thing you can ask your realtor to do as well if you're feeling a little skeptical, is call the other lender of the buyer's agent and have a conversation with them. Hey, they well qualified. Well, we haven't pulled their pay stubs yet, but you can tell in the offer it went typically by the lender, if you know the lenders in town, and how much they have down. If it's a cash offer, you can ask them to show you proof of funds from their bank within 5 business days. Or you can say, hasta la vista, baby. Walking up a hill now. I've got a wireless mic as I record the podcast today. Absolutely gorgeous. And I listed a house for a family, and they did not take the offer and run. Here's the other side of the coin. Is it the one I just found on the ground? Is that I list this house, and we listed $7,000 above what actually about $10,000 above what my comparative market analysis was. And the first day it's listed, which is very normal, an offer comes in above that. Conventional loan, all closing costs paid. Now, because remember, if you're asked to pay any of those closing costs, that comes out of your proceeds. So my seller is netting everything except for minimal closing costs and realtor fees. And I tell my sellers, this family, I get them on conference call. I said, hey, hey guys, ladies, gentlemen, this is a great offer. You should take it. Oh, well, I'm not sure. So what could be a better offer? An offer where they say they pay the difference in the appraisal amount, or a cash offer? Remember, I just mentioned those 2 other offers that could possibly be better. Because the fact of the matter is that they're going to have to pay the difference of the appraisal amount if they're coming in so high on a house, then it's not worth that much. And this house appraised really well. So my family here, they don't take the offer. We go back and forth for 30 minutes. I'm like, hey, you should really take this offer. And why am I influencing them to take the offer? Well, because one, I know when I see a good offer that there's a strong possibility, likelihood, that there's not going to be another offer like it. I know that I'm going to have to continue showing the house to people in the back of my head and have an open house, knowing that amazing offer was out there, and that I'm just living on a prayer, like Bon Jovi said. So they turn down actually, here's what happens. They take the offer that evening, and they told me to tell these other realtors not to come look at the house. The next morning, they changed their mind. And then we got a couple more offers, but that wasn't even close. And guess what? It was their best offer. And they ended up losing over $10,000. So that's why I encourage you to take the offer and run. And always to remember that when a house marks pending or sold within an hour or same day, that's how it happens. Usually people have a leg up. They know the other realtor or family. And don't get offended if you're in a multiple bidding situation. This is another story for another day, and someone else outbids you. The realtors are not allowed to tell you the other offers unless they have permission of the seller, which is very rare. They could have a family member they had promised they would sell the house to, and even if they're taking less money, they gave it to them. Your offer could have been better. So you don't know all the moving pieces. Hey, I want to give some shout outs today to some folks that have reached out to me. One here on Instagram, and that was Beth Simons, and She said, "Hey, Frazier, I really love listening to your podcast. Would you tell everybody that I can clear a house?" She owns Divine Flow, and what she does, and she can do this anywhere in the country, is she can come into your house and say there's been a death, suicide, awful divorce, fighting. She'll come in and she'll do an energy clearing and clear the house out before it gets listed to clear out that negative energy. She also deals with feng shui. She's been published in a magazine as well. She was on the podcast here. If you go back into the archives, you can listen to her as well. Very cool chick. Thanks, Beth. No problem giving you a shout out. Also want to give a shout out to 2 home inspectors, 2 different companies. You've got P&W and then 𝓕𝓻𝓪𝔃𝓲𝓮𝓻 Home Inspections here in the area that have helped me here recently put together some really rock solid inspections. 𝓕𝓻𝓪𝓃 came out to a commercial property that I have under contract, a laundromat, and P&W traveled outside the area because I'm licensed in Virginia, so sometimes I'll sell a house like an hour and a half away to do an inspection for me. So I really appreciate it, guys. That means a lot. As I have a wireless mic with me recording the Roanoke Real Estate Podcast today, the Frazier Hughes Experienced Realtor, and I'm walking up the highest hill on this street in my neighborhood. Also, Mike messaged me on Facebook. You can find me there, the Frazier Hughes Experienced Realtor, with the most followers of any realtor in the city. Mike said, "Hey, will you share my logo business with some of your followers?" I said, "Sure." So Mike did my, sorry, I'm on the steepest hill. He did my 𝓕𝓻𝓪𝓃𝓲𝓮𝓻 logo, and he does beautiful work. And his business is called No Bobo Logos. And if you need a great logo and you want to support local, he can do anything. And I don't promote people unless they kick ass, which is what this hill is doing to me right now. So No Bobo Logos, check them out. And thanks for listening to the Roanoke Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, the Frazier Hughes Experienced Realtor. You can read my columns bi-monthly in the Valley Business Front, Real Estate Matters. And you can follow me on Facebook, the Frazier Hughes Experienced Realtor, and see the dynamic marketing and unique marketing like no other realtor. And just imagine what that's going to do for your home when I list it. On Instagram, Hughes or Lose, on LinkedIn as well. The Frazier Hughes Experienced Realtor. Actually, I think it's Frazier Hughes. Dale Carnegie trained. Okay, enough about me. Let's talk about you for a minute. Thanks for listening again today, and I really appreciate you and your time, and I'm sending you my positive energy. Again, thanks for your patience as I've had this wireless microphone with me on my walk today while I'm recording the podcast. Take care, be good to yourself, and don't forget to think about me when it comes to selling and finding your home in the Valley, and that the experience is real.
Want to be on the Roanoke Real Estate Podcast? Call Frazier now or text 540-314-5583. Also contact Frazier to sell or find your next home, and he is always fresh on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Stay positive, Star City and Hughes, don't lose it.